GoForThe2.com. We're into our week number 9 predictions. I just want to remind everybody, this coming Friday, blogtalkradio.com, the NCAA Weekly Blitz Show, my co-host, former Georgia Bulldog wide receiver Corey Allen. We're going to break down the big game in the SEC East between the South Carolina Gamecocks and the Missouri Tigers. Missouri's atop the SEC East. They're undefeated. We're going to break it down this coming Friday. blogtalkradio.com, the NCAA Weekly Blitz Show. Check it out. Let's get right into the predictions for this coming weekend. It's going to be a great matchup. Let's talk about the first game on tap. We're talking about Pittsburgh and Navy. Navy coming off a double overtime loss on the road to Toledo. They were down late in that ball game. They battled back to get the tie to send the game into regulation. They lost in double overtime by 1 point to the Toledo Rockets. They expended a lot of energy in that matchup. They now come back home. They're going to be facing a very solid ACC opponent in Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's defensive line will match up very well with the offensive line of Navy, and I'm calling for a dominant Pittsburgh Panther victory, 38-21 over Navy this weekend. I think Pittsburgh's too solid on both sides of the ball. I think Pittsburgh picks up a 38-21 victory over Navy this weekend. Let's talk about Rutgers and Houston. Houston looked very well at home in Reliance Stadium facing BYU. They had the lead early in the fourth quarter and late in that ball game against the Cougars. They couldn't hold on. They lost a 47-46 victory against BYU. Houston's offense very explosive. They challenged the BYU secondary in that matchup. They expended a lot of energy. Now they have to get on a plane, head to New Jersey to face the Rutgers Scarlet Knights on an early kickoff. It's a 12 o'clock start. I think that's asking too much for the Houston Cougars in this matchup. I think Rutgers' defense matches up very well against the Houston Cougar offense. I'm calling for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights to pick up the home victory 33-21 over Houston. It's going to be a very tough road trip for the Cougars in this matchup. Let's talk about another game. BYU and Boise State. Friday night, Boise State, not the same Bronco team that they were in years past. They lost their 2 tough road games this season. Opening week to Washington. A couple of weeks after that, they lost to Fresno State 41-40. They have 5 victories on the season. Combined total record of those 5 wins, 12-23. Starting quarterback Joe Southwick was injured. He will not play in this ball game. He broke his ankle. Grant Hendrick takes over. He's a junior, but I like BYU's offensive line in the rushing attack. I like Taysom Hill. I think they pick up a dominating home victory. I don't think it'll be close. 38-20, BYU prevails Friday night. Let's talk about another matchup. Nebraska, with a week off to prepare for this game, travels to Minnesota to take on a very excited Minnesota Gopher team that got a very good win last week on the road in Northwestern, 20-17. They were able to run the football against the Wildcats. Very solid effort by that coaching staff without head coach Jerry Kill around. I like Minnesota in this matchup. I like the way they play defensively. They don't give up a lot of big plays. They'll be in this ballgame from start to finish. Tommy Armstrong Jr., the redshirt freshman, Taylor Martinez, he practiced. He might not go. It doesn't matter in my opinion. It will still be a very tough ball game for Nebraska. I think they win, but I think it is very, very close. 23-20. Nebraska gets the road victory, but it is not easy. Minnesota gives them all they can handle. Let's talk about the big matchup in the horseshoe this weekend between Penn State and Ohio State. Penn State has a week off to prepare. That will help Christian Hackenberg. 2 weeks ago, they got the victory at home in 4 overtimes, 43-40. They're going to have to create turnovers in this ballgame. They're a -4 on the year. They're going to have to give Christian Hackenberg and the rest of that offense a short field. Ohio State was challenged by a very mediocre, balanced Iowa offense last week. I like Penn State in this matchup. They might not win, but they'll give Ohio State all they can handle. I think Penn State loses a very close ball game. Ohio State has 19-game consecutive win streak. They move to 20. Urban Meyer gets his 20th straight consecutive victory for the Ohio State Buckeyes, but it is not easy in the horseshoe. 27-20, Ohio State prevails. One last game. It's the big game in the SEC East. South Carolina lost last week on the road to Knoxville, 23-21. Connor Shaw got knocked out of that ball game. Dylan Thompson will get the start. When you look at the Missouri Tigers, undefeated, they knocked around the Florida Gators in a dominating 19-point home victory, 36-17. The difference, though, is Steve Spurrier's on the offensive side of the ball for South Carolina. I think that defense with Jadeveon Clowney going up against Matty Mock, the freshman, still don't like a freshman in that spot. I don't care if he's playing at home. I like the defensive line for South Carolina to give Matty Mock some fits in this ballgame, and I'm calling for the upset in Columbia, Missouri. South Carolina gets the upset 24-17 over Missouri. They knocked Missouri from the ranks of the unbeaten. South Carolina picks up another SEC East victory this coming weekend. It'll be a great weekend of college football. Stay with me all season long. College football is the best, and I can't wait to give it to you.